Good afternoon, and welcome to today's webinar about Penn State's Master of Public Policy degree program. I'm Whitney Sheridan, Penn State's School of Public Policy's Director of Communications, along with our presenters. Today joining us, we have Professor Tima Moldogaziev. He's our Director of Graduate Studies. Also with us is Cheyenne Mack. She's an MPP student, class of 2023. Hi, Cheyenne. We also have Chin Zhang. He's also an MPP class of 2023 student. Thanks for being here, Chin.
Hello, everybody.
And today we are going to be talking about Penn State's MPP program. That's what you hear us call it a lot today. That's the Master of Public Policy degree program. So what are we going to be talking about today? We'll give you an overview of the MPP program. We'll talk about who should apply for the program. Who is this degree for? We'll talk about our curriculum, the specializations. We'll discuss career options for our graduates, what you can expect to earn as a graduate, and we'll talk about the application process. Throughout this webinar, I want to encourage you to join the conversation. That means ask your questions at any point using that Q&A window or the chat. So don't hesitate to ask those questions at any point. And again, I want to remind you, we're going to be referring to this as the MPP program. That's the Master of Public Policy degree. And of course, again, shoot us those questions at any point. So what is the MPP Master of Public Policy degree? That's what we're here to talk about. So Dr. Moldogaziev, tell us exactly what is the Master of Public Policy degree and who is this program for? Who should apply?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. The MPP degree is a professional degree for anyone who wants, who has a passion for public service, but also wants to help solving problems in their communities, in their work environments. And it's a 2-year program that is here, at State College campus. And it's for anyone, regardless of whether an individual has a goal of working in the public or private or nonprofit sectors. It's for anyone that wants to understand the policy process. And anyone that wants to understand and learn how to develop and structure public policies, how to analyze them, how to evaluate them. So it's a professional degree. And sort of the main distinction of our program from other programs that exist in the state is that we are very much oriented on both the, technical, so-called, hard skills, but also the soft skills. And we'll get to talk about what those are in a few moments.
Exactly. We're going to go deep into what the curriculum is all about in just a few minutes. But remember, don't hesitate to ask those questions using the Q&A or the chat. I want to bring Cheyenne Mack into the discussion. And remember, she's one of our MPP, our current MPP students. She'll be graduating this spring. Cheyenne, why did you choose an MPP degree?
Thanks for asking, Whitney. I knew that when I was an undergrad, I wanted to pursue another degree. I knew I wanted to get my master's. And I think when it came to this particular program and why I wanted to do public policy, I knew I wanted to get a degree that was very flexible and that didn't confine me to just one career, but gave me the opportunity to pursue many careers in different facets of government, whether that was federally, whether it was locally, privately, or with the public sector. So I knew when I was looking at programs, I wanted to make a difference and make a change and gain the skills to do so and be able to do it in a way where I could kind of go wherever I wanted to.
Great. So let's talk a little bit more about the program. Dr. Moldogaziev, tell us a little bit more about how the program is structured and what we provide. You kind of teased that a little bit.
Right. So the 2-year program has what we usually sort of classify as the technical aspects or the hard skills aspects of the Masters in Public Policy training. And these are your typical courses in statistical analysis, in public sector economics, in policy process and policy evaluation. So this is something that will separate our graduates from other folks, again, going into public and non-public sector jobs, so that in addition to whatever the specialization or interest areas they have, or the niche areas of employment they have, they also have these technical capacities that makes them, more, what would you call it, more needed in a work environment. So let's put it that way. The other aspect, obviously, is since this is an MPP professional program, we also think that our graduates will be good managers of their organizations. And in order to do so, they need the so-called soft skills, which is the skills of communicating with other individuals, sort of the social skills that are necessary, the necessary public ethics, public values that come in sort of developing and implementing public policies. But what is very important as well, we pay quite a bit of attention on the internship aspect, but also sort of preparing our students for the workplace. And this can be a part of the curriculum, but a good part of it is also outside of the curriculum, such as going to talks by policymakers. And so our school pays a lot of attention on sort of bringing our former graduates, and by our I mean Penn State graduates, but also people that are working in public policy in the state, but also nationally and internationally, so that students get a feel for what kinds of jobs are possible when they graduate from this program. So in a way, we pay attention not only to the content of our courses, but what and how that content can help our graduates to succeed in the workplace, but also at some point manage those organizations.
That's great. And you're really stressing that professional training. And that's a theme that we're going to keep coming back to. So setting you up for success in the career. I want to bring in Chin Zhang. He's one of our students as well. Chin, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Cheyenne. Why did you choose to pursue your MPP?
Yeah, actually, I'm an undergraduate. When I was an undergraduate student, I'm majored in public administration, and I'm looking for professional degree that give me quantitative analysis ability. And after I looking through the internet, and it gives me a great opportunity that making policy evaluations and doing some research. So that is the main concern, because I'm concerned about public affairs and public administrations, and I want to finish a professional degree in this section. So that's the main reason why I choose an MPP program.
Great. So this was a nice complement to that degree. Perfect. All right. So I want to talk a little bit briefly about the curriculum. Dr. Moldagaziev, can you tell us a little bit about the curriculum?
So before I go into the sort of the details of the curriculum, I want to stress one thing. We try to arrange our courses in a very flexible way. So we have a suggested time frame and suggested list of courses that the student should take. So if one wants to follow that suggested list, that's fine. So as you can imagine, in the first year, there are courses that are more like, skills and preparing for upper level courses in the first year. And in the second year, generally, the way sort of the suggested list of courses works is that the students then work on whatever their specialization areas are, or maybe additional technical skills they need. So that's in a broader sense. Now, we will be talking about specialization in a little bit, but there are two key things I think to keep in mind, or rather three key things to keep in mind when looking through our curriculum. One is the necessary toolkit that all of our graduates will have, and these are the technical, analytical type courses. The other is the specializations that the students will have, and so one with a toolkit could go into any number of policy areas, health policy, or social policy, or environmental policy. The third type of courses, or rather, courses and activities, are for, professional development type, objectives. So in a nutshell, I guess that's what our courses at curriculum looks like. But again, a lot of the courses that we have can be taken, in any other semester, not necessarily in the order that they're given. So we want our students to be flexible when they're completing their coursework.
Right. And that's a theme that we'll also be coming back to, is the flexibility of the program, and especially when we talk about specializations in just a minute. Chin and Cheyenne, I want to talk to you about classes. You're both in your second year. Tell us about how the classes are and how it is with your cohort. How do you guys work together? We'll start with Cheyenne, I guess.
Yeah, what I really like about the program is that it's very group oriented. A lot of the classes, you'll have at least one group project and you get to work with other people. I know I'm not the strongest in statistics, but the statistics courses here allow you to work with other people and doing the homework. You do a project together with another person who has the same policy interest as you. And it makes the class a little bit easier because you get to learn from each other as well as learn from the professor. So it's nice because you get to learn from other students. And what's cool about the program is that you do have about 50% of students coming from Penn State and about the other half coming not from Penn State. They've either coming from another university or they've been in the industry for a few years and are coming back. So it's really nice to also get the perspective of someone who's been in the industry and be able to listen to their experiences and how they're applying their skills to different classes, and also learn from them and prepare yourself for when you do graduate. So I really like taking the classes. It's been a lot of fun, especially now getting into my specialization electives. But I really liked my first year because it was really group based and a lot of your classes are with the same people. So you get to know them really, really well.
And Chin, talk to me a little bit about that cohort experience that Cheyenne was mentioning. Do you guys really lean on each other, studying together, that kind of thing?
Yeah, since we have 8 different classes in the first year, sometimes we always work together to finish our project, like policy evaluation. And in the first year, our first year student, whereas our second year student did, and concentrate more about the agriculture policy and environmental change. And we're also doing some environmental policy analysis, like policy evaluation in the trees in Portland. So I have a close relationship with the people in our program, since have a pretty small class size, and we can talk to each other every week for our different projects. And I pretty enjoy this process because from the beginning, I'm just a beginner of learn statistics and policy evaluation. But before the second year, when I doing my summer intern, I just found I have such a strong background in doing an evaluation and give policy recommendations. So I'm pretty enjoying my life here. Since I'm an international student, people are always welcome to me and just always say hello and encourage me to do challenging things. And another thing is that I pretty enjoy the time with our professors here. They are always pretty patient for their work, as well as I enjoy the office hour talking my study problem and other things. So that is how I spent my first year here.
Great. I want to remind our guests that you can ask questions via the chat or the Q&A window at any time during the session. We have our Director of Graduate Studies, Dr. Tima Moldogaziev here, and we have 2 of our current MPP students ready to answer your questions. So let's talk a little bit about what makes our program unique. Dr. Moldogaziev kind of teased this out a little bit. We have our curriculum and our specializations, but there is a lot of flexibility with the program. So tell us a little bit about that.
So one thing to remember with our program is that we are on the main campus, on the largest campus at Penn State. And so this gives us an opportunity to really use all of the resources and expertise elsewhere on campus. And this comes in very handy for our MPP students when they're building their specializations. And to be sure, you don't have to go out to other schools and departments to get your specializations. You could actually, if you wanted to, take MPP courses for your specializations. But we do encourage our MPP students to build up this expertise in an area. And so what you will find on these slides, but also on our webpage, that we have a number of specialization areas and maybe with suggested course areas from what our students have been doing so far. Now, having said that, if a student wants to build their own specialization area, this is a completely sort of open and flexible opportunity to come and talk to us. You know your interests, the best as an individual sort of student in the program. So we will listen to all of the students and sort of help them together, working together to come up with a set of courses for their specializations. So again, if you don't find anything that interests you on our list, just come and talk to us and build your own, basically.
Cheyenne, what's your specialization and why did you choose to pursue it?
Yeah, so I am doing a combination of the criminal justice and information technology policy specialization, which is kind of what Dima was talking about, how you can combine and create your own. I studied psychology and criminology in undergrad, so I knew I wanted to continue that focus just a little bit differently. And what's been nice is the specialization courses are very niche. So if there's something you're really interested in a particular field of policy, you can pursue that. This semester, I'm taking a class on cybercrime and warfare, which is looking at what crime looks like on the internet and the development of the internet over history and how that's been applicable to like physical wars as well. So it's really cool to be able to sort of apply what I've learned my first year in policy analysis and take it further and focus it in on a particular topic I'm very interested in both the criminal justice realm, but also in information technology.
Oh, that sounds really neat. I know we have several other students who are creating their own specializations as well. So yeah, that's really interesting. So again, we're open for questions. Use that Q&A window or the chat at any time. So let's talk a little bit about some programs that are available to our undergraduate students here at Penn State. We're going to touch on this briefly. Dr. Moldogaziev, we have a lot of students who are part of our accelerated undergraduate-graduate program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
This is a unique opportunity for undergraduate students at Penn State to begin a graduate degree while they're still working on their undergraduate degrees. So typically, a student would have to be in good standing and have at least 59.1 credit hours to be marked as a third-year student. And usually the way it begins is that an undergraduate student will begin a conversation with their undergraduate advisor and with us. And together with undergraduate programs, the MPP program and the student, we find the best way to ensure that the student graduates with an undergraduate degree, but also begins taking courses in their third and fourth year. And by the time they finish their undergraduate degree, they already have completed quite a bit of graduate coursework. It saves time, and that's why it's called the accelerated program, but it also saves on resources, tuition money and so on. And it's a very attractive sort of way of getting not only an undergraduate degree but also a professional degree. The other component, obviously, is which I guess we will talk about in a little bit as well. Research shows, and our practice also shows, that undergraduate students that also have a graduate degree have a sort of maybe a broader option of jobs to apply to, and the incomes that come with that additional opportunity are also higher for individuals with professional degrees, in particular the MPP degree. So it makes sense all around to think as an undergraduate student how to place oneself, as best as one can, to attract the best opportunities after graduating from Penn State.
Great. So just as you were talking about, let's talk about those careers that you'll be placed in after you graduate. What kind of careers are we talking about? We've been saying that the Master of Public Policy program is a professional degree program, and we give you the skills to ensure you'll be job ready. What jobs are we talking about here?
So the range of jobs is very wide. Obviously, local, public-private sector jobs, state and federal and international, where individuals work in public organizations is sort of a direct, I guess, place for finding jobs. The other is, and we need to keep in mind that we live in a society where there are lots of complex problems, and so those complex problems require that everyone is involved. So if you've noticed over the last decade or so, even private sector firms are worried about the social and sort of the governance and public policy outcomes of their operations. So very often you'll find major companies and corporations hiring and even having offices of public policy outreach and so on. So in terms of careers, again, whether you want to work in the public sector or the private sector, it gives opportunities for people to not only find work, to stay at those jobs for longer, and hopefully, as I already mentioned in the very beginning, to run those places. Again, since this is a professional degree that gives you hard and soft skills, we hope that our graduates get to lead rather than just work, in their organizations. Again, working is important, but leading is what we believe brings change in our communities.
And we have a pretty robust professional development, career development, leadership program that we'll get to in just a second. I want to ask Cheyenne and Chin about your career goals. Let's start with Cheyenne. What are your goals post-graduation?
Yes, thanks for asking. So right now I've been applying to intelligence agencies. I've also been looking at consulting organizations, generally like business related, but also just general consulting. And then I'm also looking at policy analyst positions. What's nice is that, DC is obviously where a lot of these jobs will be found. But what's cool is because if you decide to go like a federal government or state government, you also have the flexibility of changing locations for your career. So you're not stuck in just one place. I'm a Pennsylvania resident. So of course, I have Pittsburgh, Philadelphia to fall back on. I am from Philadelphia, so of course there's a lot of positions there, but I also have that flexibility of going to New York or Texas, California, Montana, because they all have different governments that utilize policy, and it's really important to their function and for them to be successful.
And Chin, what are your plans after you graduate?
I'm planning to return to China and find a policy consulting job or join the national government or some national bank. So I'm still pursuing my job, and I'm on my way. I think I will get the good news later.
Great. So we were talking a little bit about the earnings and how the master's degree for an MPP is valuable to students, especially how it compares to not having a master's degree. So Dr. Moldogaziev, tell us how much this will boost your earning power.
I think there's enough research now in terms of how the labor market values professional degrees, and in particular, the Master of Public Policy degree. So there is a substantial, of course, premium on coming to the market with a master's degree in public policy. And as the U.S. Census Bureau, as you see on your slides, has shown, on average, it's a $19,000 difference. But more so, I would highlight a couple of things. The individuals with an MPP degree have a wider selection of jobs, as you have heard from the two of our students, but also a higher probability of landing a job. More importantly, succeeding at that job, and as your slides suggest, when they come to leadership positions, the income range is rather high. And I think this is relevant for anyone with degrees, not only in social sciences and humanities, that will, go into our communities and do important jobs for us, but it's also relevant for technically oriented engineering type, science type graduates as well, because those types of organizations and companies also need to be managed and run by individuals. And so, again, the importance of, I think, the income premium is really attractive, but more so, I think it's the impact after finding a job and becoming really central to those organizations is what separates the MPP degree from those that don't have it.
Great. So we were talking about being a leader in your organization, and this is a professional program. We do have a lot of unique resources that a lot of master's programs don't have. Let's talk a little bit about those, especially some of the support we provide. Dr. Moldagaziev, tell us, the internship is a huge part of this program. We have a capstone experience. Tell us a little bit about that.
So all of our students, unless they have already jobs and are working and are our part-time students, have to complete an internship. And this is 300 hours. And, we're very much involved in the entire process from the very beginning until the end. We want the internship program to be a real experience rather than a check mark on one's, transcript. We pay significant attention in the program, and we have a director of engagement and then sort of student development here, Dr. Baumgartner, and she is really good at helping students and guiding students to find the internships that fit their interests. So that's an important component. The other thing is, we pay significant attention, as mentioned before, to professional development activities. And so we bring in people from different industries to share their experiences in terms of what to expect when students come to the market, when they find jobs. We also help when the students come to the program in the very beginning to understand the strengths and weaknesses that an individual has. And so the Clifton Strengths Assessment is something that is done by our incoming students, and that helps to focus on, the areas where a student might need to improve and sort of better prepare themselves for the market. So all of these are important, components of the program. But one other thing to keep in mind, and we keep telling it to everyone with pride, pretty much, is that Penn State has the largest, group of alumni, and we will introduce to the alumni of not only our program but the university as well. It's a good network to have supporting you once you graduate.
Exactly. That's something that is very beneficial to finding that job and making those connections and networking. Cheyenne, how have you used the resources that the program provides?
Yeah, so one of the first things you do as a first-year student is complete the Strength Finders assessment. And that just shows you what you look like in a career, how you function, how you work. You'll take your top 5 and you'll have a conversation with Dr. Baumgartner just about what that looks like, how that can influence your career goals, what you would look like in a particular position, and sort of match that up with where you'd like to be after you graduate. And then from there, she's a really vital resource in terms of internship placement. Your next conversation with her is typically just figuring out what you want to do, what your policy interests are, and that's usually like a 45-minute, hour-long conversation. And what's nice is that she usually sends over after every meeting a list of notes on what you guys talked about, recommendations for articles or books to read, and places to look for internships. And so my first year, that was really important for me to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. And she was a really great resource and is pretty much always available. You just have to schedule a meeting with her. And what's nice is she has the flexibility of it being virtual. So you can be like in the comfort of your house or your apartment rather than being on campus if it's typically a day you don't have class or something like that. And of course, like the resources of just your peers. Again, a lot of them do have experience in the policy areas before becoming a student. And so just utilizing them and their connections. And they mentioned the Penn State Alumni Association, and that's the largest dues paying alumni association in the world with over 140,000 dues paying alumni and just over 700,000 living alumni. So that's a really important resource. You can connect with anyone if you say you're a Penn Stater. Seriously, 1 in every 10 Pennsylvanians are Penn State alumni. You can go on LinkedIn, you can go on Facebook, you can go on any social media platform. There's probably a Penn State group there of alumni who are looking to connect and work with undergraduate and graduate students.
I love when you throw out these numbers. Cheyenne, you're the best. So Chin, tell us, what was your internship and how has that helped you prepare for your next step in your career?
Yeah, I can't wait to share how wonderful my experience about my summer internship in the Pennsylvania Population Network. Actually, the Pennsylvania Population Network is a visible project that concentrates on the demographic and health research and give policy suggestions for this sector. And during the summer semester, I cooperate with the Penn State Data Center and analyzing the county level research about poverty change in Pennsylvania, and we do lots of research work on this. It's not easy to get such a wonderful and well-paid job, and Dr. Baumgartner helped me from beginning to the end. She helped me to correct some problem in my resume, as well as give helpful suggestions for my cover letter, as well as besides this, he helped me how to make an interview and how to be confident for using my knowledge from this program to get such a wonderful internship experience. And I also use my knowledge got in my first year to do policy evaluation, as well as I just found how poverty change in Pennsylvania and give the suggestions to my policy audience, that the state representative and state senators. Besides this, our school gave me pretty helpful resource about, in the first year, I helped our academic advisor about organizing international student webinar, and I got some good friends from that experience. And actually, as for our alumni, last week I assisted to show my internship experience in our visitor of board meeting, and I explained what I have done and to our alumni, and such experience extend my network, and I think it will help me a lot.
Yeah, that was a great experience for a lot of our students last week when you met with our board of visitors, who are great alumni for the university and the school. So let's talk about, we've talked about the program. We've given you lots of benefits about the program, but Dr. Moldogazia, how do they apply?
The application process is rather straightforward, whether you're applying for the MPP program directly or as an IUG student. There is a website for the graduate school. Everyone goes through that website. Generally, we say that the requirement is 3.0 GPA. But if anyone has a GPA that's lower than that, we will obviously look at other materials that are submitted through this platform as part of the application package. We will definitely look at recommendation letters. So when applicants are asking their letter writers, it's really important that the letters evaluate an applicant's, level of preparedness to succeed in a professional program. More importantly, I think we will also look at cover letters or individual statements of students, because we want to understand why a student wants an MPP degree and whether our skills here, but also areas of expertise will fit those objectives. And so, as well as, if there are scholarship opportunities that we know of on campus or within the school, that we can share that information with potential students. Now, I suppose the only difference here for applicants is between an international and domestic students. For some of the internationals, where they have their undergraduate degrees in countries where English is not a major language, definitely TOEFL or IELTS will be a requirement, and that's a university-wide requirement that must be fulfilled. The good news is that we don't require a GRE. We found over the years that other materials that we use to make our decision on admissions are sufficient. We have a good and strong cohort of students. But if you have a GRE or other sort of graduate level test result, you can always submit it as part of your application. And this is good for us to really start thinking about, if there are other, say, funding opportunities or research opportunities or course opportunities on campus, that we can begin linking that student with a very impressive GRE score, for example, with those types of opportunities. So again, we'd like to have the strongest students that come to Penn State. Penn State is a known university, not only in the US, but globally. And so we seek and we always are happy to get the highest caliber of applicants that submit their applications through this graduate school portal.
And you can also find that link on our website, publicpolicy.psu.edu. A reminder, we're open for questions anytime. Just use the Q&A or the chat window. So let's talk about why students should choose Penn State. Cheyenne, you had already completed your undergraduate degree at Penn State. Why did you decide to return for your graduate degree?
Yeah, so I did not do the IUG program, but I did graduate in 2020 and decided to take a gap year. And during that gap year, I served with the AmeriCorps. So I was working full-time virtually during the pandemic. And when I was looking at graduate programs, I knew that with Penn State, I was going to get that network of people. And what the advisor kind of mentioned is that it is a smaller class. And I'm used to the big school, going to a lot of the big sporting events and getting involved really thoroughly on campus. But I knew, at least for my graduate studies, I wanted to limit that and be able to focus on my academics, as well as still have the social life that I was used to. And what's nice about Penn State is that you can make the school as big or as small as you want it to be. As a graduate student, you have access to all of the same resources that an undergraduate student would be. So if you want to get involved in playing a sport on campus, or if you want to get involved in philanthropy or professionalism in a different organization, you can still do that as a graduate student and enlarge in your community during your time here, during the 2 years of your time as a graduate student. I knew for me, I wanted to do that and still be involved in the organization I'm a part of. But with the MPP program, because it is a smaller class, I got to know people a lot easier than I was able to do in my undergraduate studies. There's only about 25 of us. And so we got along very quickly, and we like to go out for dinner. And I have like really close friends in the program now who I'll be friends with after we graduate and start to pursue our careers professionally. So I really like the aspect that even though it's a big school, it's a really small community, and you can make it larger if you want it to be, but you can also keep it in those 25 people and make 25 new best friends.
I like that answer. Chin, as a student who completed your undergraduate degree at another institution, what drew you to this program specifically at Penn State?
Yeah, as an international student, at the beginning, I just want to make my decision about study abroad, as well as found a well-known research center that provide MPP program. And I noticed that our school, Penn State, provides the MPP program as well as is a pretty famous, the world famous research center. So I think it may be a good choice. And when I look into it, it's located in State College of Pittsburgh Park, and my family member also encouraging me to study in such a city that encourage for diversity and welcome for international students. And actually speaking now, since I'm working on the job, I found that Penn State is it helped me a lot to get the interview, and for other things, maybe even in some campuses in China, is pretty welcome for students for our school. So I think it's a great choice why I make decision to study here.
Oh, great. Dr. Molgadogaziev, we've talked a lot about some of the unique aspects of the program. If you could reiterate a little bit of that.
So the graduates of our program are distinct from others because of their technical skills, the hard skills, but also the soft skills in an organization. They get to build up those skills in a very flexible environment. And so, and I mean it, every student, we have an individual approach, and we will work with every student. And that's the uniqueness of small programs. We have expertise in policy areas within the school in a number of areas that the student may find useful. But since Penn State is such a large institution, we also have the wealth of experts across campus, literally within walking distance, where students can go and talk to faculty members, talk to researchers and research institutes, go and visit talks that happen pretty much every day on campus on a number of topics. And these are not necessarily always targeting education or research. These could be, gatherings of individuals to celebrate diversity and so on and so forth. So this is a unique place not only to learn, but also to enjoy one's graduate studies. And sort of finally, Penn State as an institution is going to give you a network of proud Penn State alumni for life, and we are here for each other.
That's great. And as Cheyenne said, what is it? 1 in 10 of every Pennsylvanian is a Penn Stater. That's right. All right. So we have time for questions. Use the Q&A or the chat window at any time. You can also email us at publicpolicy@psu.edu. You can visit our website. Publicpolicy.psu.edu is our website. We have lots of information on our programs, information on how to apply. You can email us to get information. You can set up one-on-one appointments with Dr. Molgadogaziev or our brand new Director of Advising and Enrollment as well. We would love to hear from you now, though, if you have any questions. If you do not, we would really appreciate you for attending. And as always, I want to thank our panelists. We have Cheyenne Mack, current MPP student, and Chin Zhang, also current MPP student. They're both graduating this spring, and we will miss them so much when they do leave us. And also Dr. Muldo Gaziev, our Director of Graduate Studies here at the School of Public Policy. So it looks like we don't have any open questions right now. Again, thank you everyone for attending. Again, please don't hesitate to email us anytime with your questions or visit our website for more information. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today, and we hope to see your applications for next fall. Thank you. Have a good day.